Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where we talk all things finance, saving money, investing, and just trying to reach your financial goals. On this video this week, we're going to talk a little bit about big tech and AI spending. We've seen some big earnings releases come out of the likes of Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, and others this week. And a lot of the commentary around that has been around their AI spending and what's going on with this. It was really interesting stuff. A lot of stocks moved on the back of it. So let's tackle that in today's video. If you're new here, my name's Jeff. I've been working in the financial markets for 20 years now. I've been talking to clients who buy stocks, trade Forex, options, the whole bit. I've done it for a while, spoken to hundreds, if not maybe thousands even, of clients over that time period, and I really got a good understanding of what works, what doesn't, some amazing trades, some, well, terrible trades as well, and everything in between. So if you want to learn a little bit more about trading, investing, saving money, I'm a keen, passionate saver as well, then why not subscribe to my channel? You get some great videos, some great content along those lines, and help up your financial IQ and just learn more about finance and investing. Just keep in mind that all of these videos though are just for educational purposes and entertainment purposes only. This is not qualified financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. So if you do need a financial advisor, seek out a qualified professional who can help you with that. Also remember, this isn't an investment recommendation and your capital is at risk whenever you're investing. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video on big tech and AI. First of all, let's get into what earnings season is. A lot of people may not be aware of this, but basically the earnings season, particularly in the US, it's a really big deal when it comes to the stock market. So every quarter, companies will release their profits, their revenues, all their operating numbers from the previous quarter, and it gives you a really good insight to how they've performed. I think the other thing that's really interesting as well for me is they talk a little bit about their expectations or their forecast for the coming quarter. So it's a great way to see how well they're doing and what they expect is going to happen in the upcoming quarter. Now, a lot of them you don't really need to worry about unless they're companies that you're actually interested in. But even if you're not and you buy index funds and things like that we talk about and recommend on this channel all the time to look at index funds, still, if you pay attention to the earnings releases of some of the bigger companies, then it can be really insightful into what's happening in the economy itself. I find it very useful. So yeah, it happens every quarter. After the end of the quarter, a couple of weeks later, it really starts getting going. And yeah, it's definitely worth tuning into. They usually report just after the market close. And yeah, earnings season, start looking at it. It's really useful stuff. So the reason why I picked this video to talk about big tech and AI spending is because a lot of these big companies have recently, just this past week, released their earnings, and a lot of the conversation was around their AI spending. As we know, companies like NVIDIA have already started benefiting from the transformation or the shift into AI. But what we don't know yet is, well, when the returns are going to start being there for the companies that haven't really seen them yet and are investing a lot. So Amazon and Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta all announced they're spending on AI and increases in their spending in AI and their investments. This is really interesting, and the amount is staggering. It's up over $100 billion now between those four companies, and like I said, it's going to increase. So these companies and others really think this is the real deal when it comes to transformations and pivots around IT. And you've probably heard a lot of commentary that this is like the smartphone or when the internet came online, you know, kind of in the end of the 90s, and this is really going to transform our lives. We really don't know yet how much of this is actually true, but what we do know and what we saw this week was some really big plans to spend and invest an awful lot of money in growing out the infrastructure, data centers, you know, chips coming from NVIDIA, all the stuff that you need to really start getting this going. So it was a phenomenal week in terms of the information on the big tech and their AI spending. So what's the big deal? I mean, big tech companies are spending on AI and investing. It all sounds great, right? What's the problem? Well, the issue is that Wall Street is getting a little bit impatient. They want to see some returns, or at least know when they're going to start seeing some returns on some of this invested money. return on invested capital or return on capital employed, that's generally a metric that's a sign of a really good company. And the companies that I mentioned, those four, they're anywhere between kind of 10 to 30% in terms of the return on their invested capital. These are really good, and that's why they become so big, because they tend to be really good companies, you know, with really good operating figures. So Wall Street is watching this closely, and so far haven't really seen any return or too much of a roadmap of when they're likely to see a return. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen Wall Street get a little bit impatient with big tech. We certainly saw it with Tesla. For many years, Wall Street was going short, talking it down big time, and look how that ended. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Is big tech got it right and it's worth investing and spending over 100 billion, or is Wall Street right to start getting a little bit impatient and question whether this is all real and there's going to be tangible returns on the back of this? What kind of added to this debate a little bit when some of these stocks were selling off pretty big at the end of the week? Elliott Management, a well-known hedge fund, in a note to clients that was viewed by the FT, came out and said that AI is all overhyped and we're not sure if any of this stuff is actually even going to work. That has, you know, given some sort of thought, I guess, around the whole investment and all the spending that these big tech AI companies are doing. Now, I don't know how much Elliott Management actually knows about AI. It's a pretty complex subject as well. And I always take these sort of comments by hedge funds with a huge grain of salt. It could even be that he's actually got short positions on some of these companies in and around AI. We wouldn't be the first time that we've seen something like that happen. So that's something to consider. There's going to be an awful lot of noise around this. There certainly was around Tesla, and I don't expect this to be any different. But we'll just have to wait and see over the coming quarters what earnings releases are like and what the AI spending, and most importantly, some of the returns that they're seeing on this. It's also been said that this AI boom is kind of reminiscent of the dot-com boom in the late 90s. As someone who was just starting their career then, I have to say it doesn't feel like that at all to me, in my honest opinion, to be fair. At that time, any company could just list on the stock market in an IPO and have .com in their name, and they would double or triple overnight. It was absolute craziness. I couldn't believe it. Valuations on the NASDAQ, the PE ratio, which is a measure of valuation there, got up to around 200. It's a lot less than that now. I believe it's around 37. So there's a big difference there. The other thing I think is worth noting from my point of view, and it's just my opinion here, but you've got the CEOs of some of these amazing companies. I mean, these companies have done well, and a lot of them had been written off many times over the last 20 years. And they continue to power on and get bigger and stronger. And they've gotten themselves in the position they're in with market caps, you know, $1 trillion and above. So they're pretty phenomenal companies. We live in a pretty special time when it comes to tech and transformation at the moment. There may be an element of fear of missing out for some of these CEOs as well. They see their competitors investing and spending so much, and they don't want to fall behind. Indeed, CEOs of Alphabet and Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg as well, they both kind of alluded to the fact that what they don't want to do is underinvest and actually not be ready or have less capacity for when time is ready. They'd rather be overinvested and ready ahead of time. And I think that's probably a smart way to do it. But I think that they're probably right there or thereabouts. And even if they're not entirely right with their projections and the returns that they're going to get, they're probably going to figure it out more or less to start getting a solid return on their AI investments. They're really good at pivoting. They've done it many times, and you don't get to be a company of that size without being really good strategist in figuring this stuff out. So my personal opinion, I don't think it's overhyped, and I don't think it's all for nothing personally. There have been many times like that where things like this have happened, but I'm not so sure that this is the case. I think they're probably onto something here and are likely to see some returns sometime in the next few years. I guess one of the main questions is will Wall Street be patient enough to wait for a few years to see the returns on this? So that's my thoughts in my video on big tech and AI. A lot happening, a lot of conversation pieces, definitely a lot of money being spent and invested in AI at the moment. Will they see a return on it? Will it be quick enough to keep Wall Street happy? And what is the stock market going to do? Ultimately, as I've said many times, if you're a long-term investor, not anything to worry about too much. If you're a single stock investor and you own stocks in some of these companies, keep an eye on it, see what happens, check out the next earnings release. and you'll get some good insights to how their AI spending is going, and most importantly, the returns on it. If you like the video, then why not subscribe to my channel? You get more good videos like this. Feel free to share it with a friend who you think might benefit from the information and help them kind of achieve their aspirations in saving and investing. Give it a like, write me a comment, let me know what you think of big tech and AI. Is it all overhyped? Is it something that's going to be the real deal and really transform our lives? I'd love to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.